best known church show, where we show you how to 10x your reach with church marketing that will help you increase your impact, make more disciples, and become the cornerstone of your community again. This is for the leaders with an outrageous vision, because anything less would be an inaccurate reflection of our Creator. The ones who have unreasonable faith, because you know God works unreasonable miracles. And the ones who are relentless in the pursuit of your calling, because anything less would not make a good and faithful servant. If that's you, you're in the right place. Now, please welcome your host and guide on this journey to become the best known organization in your community, Justin Nava.
Welcome to the Best Known Church Show. My name is Justin Nava, and if we have not met before, I take full responsibility for that. I'm the founder of Nava Church Marketing, and I believe churches should be known in their community, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about branding, specifically how much should it cost? What do you need when you look for church branding? Is it a logo? Do you need a style guide or usage guide, or should it come with like templates? And then, of course, how much should your church invest in this? How much it makes it just a bad idea, and how little does it make it a bad idea? So we're going to talk about all that today, again, with the purpose of your church needs to be known. When people see your church, whether it's in person, in the building, or out and about, the logo, they should know who you are, what to expect, know who you are and what to expect when they actually connect with you. And your logo, your brand pretty much encompasses all that. So in today's show, I'm going to move a little bit quick because I want to make sure I cover this. And I also still have to eat lunch and get prepped for our cohort meeting today. So I want to make sure I have enough time for that because I am starving. By the way, I ran a mile today. Very proud of that. 13 minutes, 50 seconds. I got to put it out there because I'm very tired, but I am going to move kind of quick on this, but I don't want to move too quick. So we're going to cover what branding is. We're going to cover what kind of branding does your church need based on your size. Okay, because a small church doesn't need what a large church needs. And then we're going to do some Q&As. I got two specifically from someone that was talking about it in a group this morning, and I got a couple more that I see often, and I want to answer those as well. And I do want to make sure you're aware of what branding is. If you just want a logo, if you're like, hey, how do I design a good logo, or how much should a good logo cost? This is not the show for you, okay? This episode is about your church brand, which means your reputation. That is what your brand is, okay? Nike's reputation is not a swoosh, right? A swoosh is a representation of what Nike encompasses, okay? So we're not going to just be talking about a logo, as well as we're not going to go into the nitty gritty of every little fine detail you need. That's going to vary between who you hire, where you source from, or what agency you work with. Everyone's going to do things in their own unique way. The outcome, the deliverables is probably going to be the same, but as far as the process that's involved is going to be very unique to each agency. That's why we all started our own agencies. That's why I started mine, because no one else was handling churches the way that I felt that churches should be handled when it comes to projects like branding. So I want to make sure you understand that this is not specifically going to get into like deliverables. I mean, I guess we will talk about deliverables you need, but we're not going to talk about like the nitty gritty. We're just going to be talking about like, hey, here's what you need. Here's maybe what that process looks like. And then here's the bottom line average spend. And I guess that's another term or caveat that I should put out there. Everyone's going to do it differently. Some freelancers are going to charge less than what I think they should. Some are going to charge a lot more than you think they should. Us personally, we're going to be more on that more side because we do a lot more with clients as far as support, answering the phone, revision wise, and all that stuff. So I want to make sure you understand that. The whole point of this is that when you go through a true branding process, number one, you know how you want to be represented to the community. Number two, you know some of the language and some of the ways to communicate that to the community. And you'll have the visual representation that is unique to your church, and how to communicate that and how to promote that to the community. A logo doesn't do any of that stuff. A logo is like a tattoo, right? If you see a tattoo, you say, oh, that's a nice tattoo. But when you see a tattoo that is, for example, the sound wave of someone's long gone parent or child, and the sound wave is a last recording of them or a happy memory, like that has meaning to it. And every time you see that, you think this guy's a dad, this guy has kids, this guy's lost something great. All right. Um, you see a tattoo of a sports team, right? You're like, this guy's a Philly fanatic. I gotta stay away from this guy. We're playing Philadelphia this week, right? Like that means something beyond the actual logo. And that's what branding is. That's what we're going to talk about. So we're not going to just talk about logos. Okay, we're going to talk about your creating a visual representation that links people to your church's values, beliefs, and what they can expect. Yes, that is what branding it does. All right, and then we're going to talk about. Actually, what we're also not going to talk about is like using that logo, because that's a big problem. A lot of people will get just a logo and then they don't use it right. Okay, branding includes the logo, but your logo is not just your branding. Another thing that happens when you look for just a logo is you see something that's not really you. Like it looks nice, but the thought and time that goes into branding doesn't necessarily go into a logo. So it's just another cross logo. It's just another a dove. It's just another typeface, and that's not representative of you. It's just a mark. And if you want just a mark, that's fine, but don't call it branding, right? It's like watching Joel Osteen sermon on your TV is not going to church. Okay, you're listening to a church, you're doing some of the things that look like church, but it's not church. Okay, so you don't want to have just a logo. Okay, so that's what branding is. Now let's talk about what kind of branding you need per church size. Because what a lot of churches will do is they'll go out and find a logo, and they'll call that branding, and then they don't use it correctly, or they try to make it fit in various formats that it wasn't really created to do. And then not only that, it's just like a church logo. It's not your church logo. All right. I'm going to show you a video real quick though. I think it's very relevant to what we're talking about today. And then we'll get started here. So let me pull that up. And Elevation's logo is dumb. It's just an up arrow inside of a circle. I could have made that in 2 minutes in Canva. That's not my opinion. That's what I imagine the comments would be if someone posted that logo in a Facebook group and asked for feedback. Here's what else I imagine people would say for other church logos. This logo is way too old school. In the Potter's house, no one knows what that means. You should change your name. This looks more like the logo of a motorcycle company or a surfboard shop, not a church. You should really let a professional handle your logo, so send me a DM and I'd be glad to help you. No one knows how to read cursive. Look, no one's going to come to church because of a logo. They're going to come to church because of the message and the invite and the hope that's attached to that logo. So unless you plan on running $1 million branding campaign, just use what you got and focus on going out and making disciples. So I want to make sure that we're clear that, the logo is not what brings people to church. Same thing as having a website doesn't bring people to church. Having a logo is representative of your church. It plays a part of the puzzle. It's a piece of the puzzle. It plays a role in bringing people to church, but it is not a thing that brings people to church. It is part of a strategy overall. So also people also get really upset when we do like a high, well, I mean, let's call it a large investment into a logo, and they get, something very simple, very direct and efficient. And they're like, I felt like it should be more customized than this. And it's like, we're not making you a mascot here. I mean, we're communicating the right message to the right people in the right way. And if you look at all the large churches that invested heavily into their branding, you'll see it's very simple. A lot of times you got to pay more to have it broken down very simply and efficiently. It's kind of like you can go out there and you can do all the YouTube workouts in the complex and try to pirate P90X or watch free videos from Tybo on YouTube or whatever. And then you hire a coach, and the coach is like, just do 30 burpees, 30 push-ups, and 30 jump squats every day. Just do that. And you're like, oh, the weight's coming off. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling stronger. It's like, I'm paying you to tell me to do 3 exercises. And it's like, yeah, that's all you need. Right? Sometimes we overcomplicate things for ourselves when really we need someone to come alongside and say, let's focus on the important things and leave everything else to everyone else that's struggling. And we're just going to focus on streamlining this. And that's what branding can be. So let's make sure we understand what branding is, right? It is your representation and your reputation to your community. It is how you want people to know you, but visually represented. Okay. So the branding includes your logo, but it can also include, how you present yourself, the language you use. There's both a verbal or written component as well as the visual component. We're going to be mainly focusing on the visual component today. And let's break it down by church size. Okay. As I said in the video that just played, small churches need small brands. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. If you are a small church, and small church for this example, less than 100, okay? Most small churches are actually going to be less than 75, but let's just make it an even cool 100, okay? Your primary purpose right now is to make disciples and equip your congregation to make disciples, okay? Most branding projects are not necessary for small churches. That's why we have a special unique package for small churches, because we just give you like, what do you need to just go out and make disciples? And when people make disciples and they see your logo on a shirt, on a tent, on a flyer or whatever, yard sign, they think about your church and they know who you are, right? That's all you need as a small church. So my recommendation, if you are a small church, all you need is a custom logo. I mean, every church should have a custom logo. Okay. And that's one of the problems with going to Fiverr or, Upwork even, and getting those what we call low ticket logos, that is like anywhere from $5 to $30, is you're not really getting a custom logo, you're getting a customized logo. They're just taking letters and making them look good. They are taking iconography from a giant pack of 1,000 things and they're putting it together. And not only that, they're just having you fill out a form and you have to kind of figure out what you want to say and what you want to communicate. And you don't always do that well on your own. You may communicate it well to your congregation, but it's not going to communicate or resonate with your community. So if you're spending super low ticket with that logo, you're gonna get what you pay for. It's kind of like, if you're a church plant and you're looking for a building and the guy's like, I got a beautiful church sanctuary for you and you can rent it out from me. It's only $5 a week. You're gonna look at this guy and be like, that's not enough. What's wrong with this place? And you go and it's a warehouse with rats and everything. And you're like, well, it is $5 a week and it is a place where you can meet. So we can call it a sanctuary. So if you want just pieces put together, and again, you're a small church and you want to spend little to nothing on it, go to those websites and just get something so you can focus on making disciples. Okay. But once you're growing, I mean, really, once you're past the 50-person point and you have a unique identity and you have a unique faith community and you're not just putting people together trying to launch something, but you actually have a small church body of believers and you want to be known in your community, that's what I'm talking about here. This is where you get a branding package or a branding that's more like, okay, let's consult with you and let's really figure out who you are. So when I talk about branding, again, I'm going beyond just your logo. It's figuring out who you are. And small churches just need someone to filter out your thoughts, your beliefs, your values, and bring it out in a visual representation. All right. So for small churches, typically what you just need is a logo. You need, along with a logo, you should never get a logo without a usage guide. Okay. Some people might call it a brand guide or a style guide. We're very loose with this terminology, but you should have your usage guide with your logo. That will come with also variations of your logo. Having a square logo is pointless for most modern mediums out there. A square logo doesn't look great on a website. It looks good on a sign, looks good on flyers, might look good for a mobile app thing, but it doesn't look great on a Facebook thing, Facebook banner, doesn't look great on social media. Like, you want something that can take up space, and not only that, take up the space it's allowed to take up. So you want variations of your logo. You want a square logo, a tall, long logo, a vertical logo. All right, horizontal, vertical. I get them confused all the time. Horizontal logo that's more wide than it is tall, and a tall logo that's more tall than it is wide. You want variations of the logo. So when I say like your logo should come with this, it's more than just a file. It should also come with various file types, really. It should come with JPEGs, PNGs, which are transparent. So it's just the logo stamp. Should come with black and white. Should come with PDF print files, so you can send those to your printers. So when I say like you should get a logo, what you're really getting is like a package of anywhere from 9 to 20 logo files. Okay. But you should also get a usage guide that will tell you like how to use the logo, where to use logo variations, what to do with the logo. Like don't expand it past this point. Don't squish it towards this point. Don't change it to this color. Don't orient this. And the reason I say that is because it will give you protection in the future if someone uses it wrong. And you have to say, hey, you use this and it doesn't look good. Instead, what you can say is, hey, we've got this usage guide. That's the rule book for how to use this. And we have to stick within this framework. It makes us the bad guy, I like to say, rather than you. So you can focus on just like, hey, let's make sure we stay on brand. Okay. And then revisions. A lot of people don't count revisions. So some people will say, yeah, I got this logo for $30. Let's do it. And then it doesn't look great. And you're like, well, can we change it? And they're like, that'll be another $10. And it's like, oh, okay, fine, here. And they change it. But then you're like, I don't know about that. And I want to change it. That'll be another $10. And you end up spending way more than you had planned to. So a good logo is going to take time. You're going to have the variations. You're going to have the uses guide. But then also it should include revision. So for a small church, usually we're not focused too much on the details. We're not focused on certain frameworks or laws or ratios. We're just trying to get a stamp for you. So 1 to 2 revisions is typically all we need. So a small church. So let's sum all this up. So for small churches, okay, less than 100 people, you're still focused on growing, making an impact, getting people to be aware of your church. You need to have a professionally done logo that's unique to your church, that comes in the various sizes that you desire or that you need, not even that you desire, because you may not even know you need it till you need it. Wide, tall, stamp, text only, mark only, in various file types, JPEG, PNG, PDF, SVG even. I think we include that. You need a usage guide, and then you need revisions, okay? I'm going to go ahead and also suggest you get some consult with it. Because again, you want someone that can take everything you know and believe and want people to know about your church and filter it down to the most important bits that are well communicated at the right time with the right message to the right people. Okay. So take all of that as a package. You can typically expect to spend, and you should spend, $1,000 to $2,000. Okay. Now, again, all the numbers I'm giving you, we're on the top end, except for this one. For this one, we're on the low end of that. If we were to do it, we have that package available for $1,000. Basically meet for an hour up front, present the logo, revisions, and then deliver it with the usage guide. That's that very streamlined. Let's get you going, because your focus needs to be on making disciples, not getting ready for $1 million brand campaign. All right. So that's how much, if you're a small church, I would go ahead and plan to spend $2,000. And that way you've got some wiggle room too. If you're like, well, let's go ahead and get some social media posts done with this. Let's go ahead and get some whatever done with this. So, that's, I would go ahead and plan to spend that, but you can probably get away for half that. All right. That's a small church branding. Minimum. That's what I recommend. And again, only once you're about 50 people, when you've got a solid faith community and you're ready to grow. Okay. Anything less than that, go to Fiverr. Just go get a mark, go get something you can use. Or find something on Canva that you have commercial rights to that you can use, and just run with that till you get to 100. And then you can start an actual brand. Because to get to that point of 100 too, you're reaching just still such a focused group of people that when you do that official branding campaign, or excuse me, the official brand that's going to carry you up to the next few years, that's when you're reaching critical mass, and people are really going to see your logo. All right. Medium churches. Now, the last couple will take a lot less longer because I don't have to explain what everything is. If you're just jumping to this point, you should listen to the small church branding, because that's where I explain what everything is that I'm talking about. So for medium churches, we're essentially taking what we've done for small churches, but we're just being a little bit more intentional on it. We might spend a little bit more time in consultations. We're going to provide a few more resources, a few more templates, as well as probably more revisions, and most importantly, brand messaging. Okay. So this is where I talk about your brand is your reputation. It's how you want people to know about you. Even some tagline, mission statement stuff. It's actually, mission statement is more organizational. I don't think that's branding, but like your tagline, brand messaging, stuff that the way you communicate, the words you use, the tone you use, the style you use, that's going to be more for medium churches, as well as you're probably going to need more time for revisions. Okay. So for medium churches, You want to look for someone that's going to be able to work with your church, because at this point, medium church, I consider between 100 and 250. All right. You're still probably meeting in one service. Once you get to that 250, 300 mark, you're probably splitting services, unless you just got this giant sanctuary. You're going to be splitting services. So I would consider that like medium church over 100, but still meeting in one service. You're going to want a little bit more consultations. You're going to need a few more meetings probably, because you've got someone that's really in charge of the project that's not the pastor. So you need to get vision stuff from the pastor. You need to get communication stuff with the communications team or the communications volunteer, director, whatever. There's just going to be a few more meetings up front. It's going to take a little bit more time. All right. The logo process is exactly the same. Don't ever spend more money on more logo options. That is a waste of money. A good logo designer should be able to get your logo within 4 attempts. All right. And a great logo designer should be able to get it within 2. All right. I take very much pride when we do logos. We do present 2. And if we're totally off the mark, we present 2 more. And that's it. If we can't get it in 4, we refund your money. We obviously are off the right track. And thankfully, we've never had to do that. And it's not just scared of starting over. It's literally like, we've got it after that. And we figured it out now that, man, we started this in 2020, 2021. And I don't think we've gone, I think our second project and third project, we went to 4. We found where the shortcoming was in our process, and we've never had to go past 2. We always do the first 2. And it's like, oh yeah, that nailed it. And then we just do some fine tweaking. So don't ever get like, oh, we can spend this much and get 2 logo options, or we can spend this much and get 4 logo options, and we can spend this much and get 8 logo. I'm telling you, it is a waste of money, because you're just sitting there and you're going to be even worse off, because now you just can't decide. Then you're going to go to a Facebook group and everyone's going to put their like, oh, what do you think of this logo? And it's like, oh, I like this one and this one and this one and this one. And then you get other people pitching you things like you should do. Don't do that. Okay. Just stick with 2 to 4 logo variations, and really ideally 2. All right. For medium churches, you need that usage guide. You probably also need a style guide. This is going to be a lot more than your usage guide. It's going to include like textures you can use, filters, variations of like, we want to stay within this palette, some gradients. You should also, for medium churches, you're probably going to want some templates included. For example, our medium church package, it comes with 70 social media templates that are matched to your brand. So we match the fonts, the colors. It's highly usable for churches. It's not like a bunch of like you ever download templates online and it's like sale. I'm like, we're not selling anything. We're a church. None of that stuff. It's all church specific thing, like, favorite volunteer, favorite verses. Here's a quote from pastor, upcoming events, stuff like that. So you're probably going to want something like that. So that way you can just have those templates to reuse, because you're not creating custom social media stuff yet. You just need something that you can quickly build out. And then, like I said, brand messaging. Typically, a medium church should be having some brand messaging done. If you want to do story brand, that's great. If you want to just do some generic brand messaging with an agency, I'll be honest, that's what we prefer because it's more affordable. You can do that. And then again, revisions, you might need to go 1 or 2 more. So you're going to need 2 to 3 rounds of revisions to get things right. And that's going to be both for the brand messaging and the console and the logo. All right. So for medium churches, branding recommendations, again, between 100 and 250 or 300 people. You're going to want some consultations on upfront. You're going to want the logo. You're going to want a usage guide, style guide. You're going to want some templates to come with that. You're going to want the brand messaging, so you know how to communicate the right message to the right people in the right way. And then you're going to probably want 1 or 2 total 2 to 3 rounds of revisions to make sure it's got it right. For that, you're going to spend between $3,000 and $5,000. Okay. So if you're a medium church, that's about what you should spend. I guess we should say like $1,000 per 1,000 or per 100 people. That might be, I don't know. I don't know if that scales well, but, that's what you're going to want to be. And you're going to be on the lower end if you just work with someone like us, and we have our memorable message framework. But if you want to work with like a certified story brand guide, that's going to do your messaging alongside your logo, then yeah, you're going to be looking at closer to $5,000. Okay. So that's for what you want for a medium church. And then for a large church, I'm going to spend the least amount of time on this because that's not really my audience. For a large church, you're going to want all that at scale. So you're going to need more time up front, because they're probably going to be doing ministry logos for you that gel or vibe with your main logo. Your style guide is going to include more things, like here's what your logo needs to look like on a large banner, small banner, standing banner, table thing. Like they'll actually create logo designs per printable thing. And they'll also probably be doing your flyers and bulletins and stuff. So again, you're just getting the same thing, but you're just getting more of it because you need more of it. More templates, more brand messaging, because they're probably going to want to do it for your main ministries as well. And then more revisions, because you're going to need revisions on your logo variation. So for large churches, expect to spend between $5,000 and $10,000. Now, is it bad if you're a medium church with $5,000 and you're like, hey, I want to get all that stuff too? I think it's only bad if you can't use it, right? It's kind of like the small church that has a 4-piece band, but they buy the big X32 soundboard that has 32 mixing channels and all the bells and doodads, and you're only going to use 4 of them, right? Is it bad? That's between you and God, but I don't think it's a good stewardship if I'm like, no, let's just get a nice 8 mixer preamp thing or whatever, and we can work with that, right? So I don't think it's bad if you know you're going to use it, like you're really, really growing and pastor's very confident in what God's going to do and the Spirit's going to do in the church. Then yeah, go ahead and get the medium branding package as a small church or the large branding package as a medium church. But I'm just giving you some realistic things on what you should look for around that price. Okay. So again, to recap, if you just want a logo, you're like, Justin, I'm still listening, and I really just want a logo. I don't want all that branding stuff, usage guide, revisions, consultations. Like, okay, you just want a logo. I would say don't spend $30. Spend at least $100 on it, right? And then also look for someone that's going to do like real custom stuff, because you look at their portfolio and it looks really nice, but it's just because they're copying what some other agency did in the portfolio. So be wary of that. Small church branding, go ahead and set aside $1,000 to $2,000. And I'm always in favor of budgeting for more. So that way, when the finance committee cuts it, you're still good. So budget $2,000, but you're probably going to get away with $1,000. And again, as with all things, you can spend less with that if you can work with a freelancer. It's just freelancers are a little bit harder to work with. And this comes from a guy that tried to not do an agency for the longest time. But agencies really have their benefits. One of the things is they don't take sick days. They have accountability. You can, work with an agency a lot easier in some cases than a freelancer. So you can probably spend less than $1,000 if you're working with a freelancer. But every freelancer is different. Medium churches, you should budget between $3,000 and $5,000 because you're going to need more consultations. You're going to need more resources to come with your logo and branding, as well as the brand messaging. And then large churches between $5,000 and $10,000. Okay. Some frequently asked questions. Let me hammer these out really quick. A common question is, hey, can't we just do it ourselves? You absolutely can. You can use Canva and do it yourself. I mean, you're going to get what you're going to get, right? And again, I would rather a small church copy a Canva logo and go and make disciples than spend a lot of time and a lot of money at the sacrifice of missions, because it's hard enough to make an impact as a small church. So don't let branding get in the way of that. Okay. Another common question I get is, should we use someone local? Here's the irony. Should you use someone local for your church branding? Your local, I think 20 years ago, maybe 30 years ago, absolutely. Nowadays, you don't know your neighbor. You have more in common with someone in what's the phrase? Like your kid might have more in common with a kid in China than the kid next door that's the same age, right? We are so niched down into our unique identities and who we are and who we are equipped to serve. Just because you work with someone local doesn't mean they're going to help you resonate with the local community, right? You know who your church is equipped to serve. So the other question is, should we use someone that's church focused? I am a huge fan of this, right? You could go to the local baker to make non-leavened bread for communion, or you can go to the Kingdom catalog and just get communion wafers, right? That's super easy. You could use PowerPoint or any software, but they're not going to be better equipped to support your church visuals on Sunday morning, like ProPresenter or Media Shout. Are they still a thing? That's how long it's been since I've been in the media booth. or any of the other church specific softwares, right? You could use a generic AI software, or you could use Pulpit AI or Sermon Shots. You could use those because they're more focused on the needs of the church. And so if you use someone church focused like Nava Church Marketing, we understand budgets. We understand working at nights because you're bivocational. We understand working with committees and how to persuade committees away from their bad decisions. Local people aren't always equipped for that. So I think local's great for speed and convenience. And if you want to have lunch with people, I think church focus is better if you want to be served like a church and not served like a business. All right. FAQ number 4, how do we come up with a clear idea of who we are and what we want our brand to reflect? Again, this is going to come with my recommendation to work with a church-focused freelancer or agency, because we are going to consult with you so you don't have to come up with that clear idea. That should be part of the branding process. Take everything and sift it down to that clear idea. Communicate the right message to the right people in the right way. If you don't have someone to walk you through that, you hire a freelancer and they're like, okay, fill out this form. And you're like, I don't know what to say about this. You're going to get what you paid for. So to answer the question, how do we come up with a clear idea of who we are and what we want our brand to reflect? Hire a consultant or hire an agency that can walk you through that. And, I had a meeting this morning and I was like, look, my job is not to write things for you. My job is to take everything about you and filter it down to communicate the best message to the best people you're equipped to serve in the best way that they'll understand you. And then what's reasonable in terms of price? I'll be honest, I hate this question. What's reasonable in terms of price? That is such a generic question, because what's reasonable is completely up to you, right? If I have $300 and I'm hungry, it's reasonable to go to Outback Steakhouse and spend $20 or $30 and get a nice steak, broccoli, mashed potatoes, get some rolls with it, right? But if I only have $300, right? If I'm a college kid and I got $312 in my Bank of America, right? It is unreasonable to spend $30 at Outback, spend 10% of your money on dinner, right? Go to Taco Bell, go to Jack in the Box. So reasonable is completely up to you, right? And again, that's why working with a consultant is good, because if we do our jobs, if you work with someone good, they're going to hear you say, well, we've only got $2,000 for our entire year of marketing. All right. Well, it's unreasonable for you to spend half of that on your brand unless you're not doing anything else for the rest of the year. But if you say, oh, we got 40 grand in the bank and we're ready to invest on this and we're getting ready for this campaign and we want to pay off our building and this will free up this much funds. It's like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. This is a good decision for you to spend $1,000. So reasonableness is in the eye of the beholder. People think it's unreasonable that I spend 80 cents on this giant jug of water when I can drink water out of the faucet for free. I think it's a little unreasonable too, but I also know I need more water and I will drink this water and I will not drink the water out of my faucet. So I spend the 80 cents. I think that's how much that bottle costs. So reasonable, that's such an unfair question, right? How much should things cost? That's like asking what's reasonable and what's a reasonable cost for a car, right? Totally depends. In fact, it's going to depend on your use case. Where are you taking the car? How many people do you need to take? Do you need to haul stuff? Do you need to go long distance, short distance? Some people think it's totally unreasonable to have a gas-powered car, and they know nothing about you. And they're going to tell you it's unreasonable for you to have a gas-powered car. And you're like, no, I have places to go. I have long distances to drive. I have electricity availability issues. I don't know, but it is, for us, it's unreasonable because we live in a hurricane coast, right? We're in Houston. So if the power goes out for 5 days, I need to be able to get out of here, and gas can help me do that. I can keep gas, for a $5 gallon jug. I can keep gas in my garage. I cannot keep electricity in my garage enough to power a car. So that's just a bad question. We need to stop asking that as churches. And we just need to say, what do we have right now? What has God resourced us with? What's good stewardship with that resources to get to the vision he's calling us to do? All right. So I hope that made sense. Thank you for watching. If you want to get some more help, you can always go to navachurchmarketing.com. We can do branding packages. The website, I hate the website right now. We're still rebuilding, and it's taking a lot longer than I wanted it to. But it is what it is. So we'll hopefully have that up by the end of the month. Like and comment if you like this. If you have any other questions, leave them down below. I'll do a special video on it. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you, and I will see you all in the next video. God bless.
That's going to do it for today's episode of the Best Known Church Show with Justin Nava. Be sure to subscribe to stay updated on the latest news, strategies, and resources that you need to reach 10x more people and become the best known in your community. To send us a message or leave a voicemail for Justin to be played on a future show, visit thebestknownchurchshow.com. And if you'd like to work with us so you can focus on your ministry, give us a call at 832-861-7654. Until next time, stay outrageous, unreasonable, and relentless.